Hello, Michael.
All right, it's just now 7 p.m. and I would like to call this meeting to order. I respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Métis people. Thank you once again to Frank for setup and takedown, and thank you to the residents who are here tonight and those who take the time to watch our council meeting videos on our website. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded. I will now introduce the head table on my far left.
Steve Axworthy.
Lon Turner.
Penny McMorris.
I'm Graham Randall.
Erwin Cupcake.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? I know we have some. Thank you, Erwin. Second. Steve, thank you. And I know we have some additions. So I will add under other business, the AEDs,
Right.
golf course lockers price increase, and the Albert Beach drainage survey. Is that all three? Anything else? Okay.
That's right.
Anything else, gentlemen? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Minutes of the July 19th, 2022 regular meeting of council have been circulated to all members of council. Be it resolved that the minutes of the July 19th, 2022 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. Now I have a mover. Steve, thank you. Graham, second. Thank you. And any comments or concerns?
Received, accurate.
Okay. And I think you got the delegation comments done very well, so thanks for that. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We do not have any delegations this evening, so we'll move on to accounts and finances. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable checks 10427 to 10470 in the amount of $204,230.94. CIBC Visa statement dated July 21st, 2022 in the amount of $2,849.69. Now I have a mover, please. Erwin, thank you. Second. Graham, thank you. Discussion. Erwin, thank you.
Normally this report would be provided. Oh, I'm sorry.
Normally this report would be provided by our new finance chair, but he's unable to attend this evening. Madam Mayor, I have reviewed the accounts payable. There are two notable items. One, there's a check for $50,000 to Best Buy Homes, and again I want to congratulate my colleague Graham Randall for negotiating some very favorable terms with respect to the payment of the police barracks. Second item that I wanted to note is in anticipation of what could be problematic flooding, the municipality has rented a tractor from Wassums in the amount of the monthly lease is $3,248. We really hope we don't need it, but if the weather turns bad, we're in a better position to deal with repairing or shoring up our flood protection. Those are the only comments that I have, Mayor McMorris.
Thank you. Any other comments? Steve?
Just to follow up, because I know there are some people who might be a little bit negative about the $3,000 a month. The reality is that if we're spending a little more now, then it can save us a lot of money should we need it. So it's just proactive. I just wanted to throw that out there because, as I said, I know some people are going to say $3,000 is so much. Well, if we don't do it, it could be a lot more.
Yeah, you're right. And the lead time to bring it in, if we wait till we need it before we ask for it, we're screwed, by the expression, because it takes a few days to collect it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on accounts and finance? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to other business. business. There's no business arising. So the first up is 7A, council committee appointments. Be it resolved pursuant to bylaw 1612, the organizational bylaw, the council committee appointments for 2022 be as per Schedule A, which has been circulated to all members of council. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second. Erwin, thank you. Discussion, gentlemen? I'd just like to say that council did get together with Ian, our new council member, and we did discuss appointments going forward, what our interests were, what our thoughts were, who should be doing what, and there are very few changes, but I think we all agreed that these were positive ones. So
Yes, I agree, and we've maybe distributed the load a little more evenly, and I know I appreciate the cooperation of our new councillor, Ian Chadsey, who's certainly taken on his share of the workload.
if anyone has any questions about who's on what committee, I do have it here for after the meeting.
We got to break in the rookies. Tough.
All right, so the poor rookie is getting finance and the golf course committee and the Allard Library, I believe.
Yep, correct.
Steve?
I was just saying that I think we should probably put this on the website, so that way if anybody wants to, send an email regarding us, then they know who to send it to, especially after these last several years. We've been pretty consistent, so
Yeah,
there's been a few changes.
I like that on the website so they can direct their helpful suggestions.
I'd also just like to thank everybody because unfortunately, also fortunately, I'm going to be moving out of Winnipeg for work. So the other councillors have been very accommodating, and especially now that we have a strong online communication system where I can stream in 4 council meetings and other meetings that we have to go through regularly, I'll be able to work largely remotely. But I just want to thank everybody for being so accommodating.
You're welcome, Steve. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Carried. Thank you. As part of this council committee appointments, we are appointing the deputy mayor by resolution. Be it resolved to appoint Erwin Kunka as deputy mayor. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Again, council had an opportunity to discuss this. Erwin was willing to put his name into the hat. So, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, and thank you, Erwin.
Just one brief comment. It is indeed an honor to serve the municipality. 5 years ago, if you asked me that I would ever become deputy mayor of Victoria Beach, I would have told you that maybe you'd had too many drinks. But going forward, we're going to give it a go, and hopefully I won't have to do anything, because we have a very capable mayor, and I'm just there as a backup. Thank you.
Good for you.
Thanks, Erwin. All right, up next is our police board appointments. Be it resolved, as per bylaw 1626, to appoint the following as members of the police board. Mike Bartmanovich as citizen rep, Liz Murray as citizen rep, Andrew Smith as citizen rep, and Erwin Kunka as council rep. Further be it resolved to appoint, I'm going to put this out there to council, Mike Bartmanovich as chair and Andrew Smith as vice chair. I have heard from Mike, but I have not heard from Andrew, so I don't think he'll say no. But would you rather I defer on that?
Well,
No?
in the past, have we not allowed the police board amongst themselves to decide on it? And maybe we should do that this time. And a listing of the members of our police board, of course, would not be complete without the provincial appointee, Mr. Tim Fluke.
Correct, but we do not appoint
No, we don't.
Mr.
We don't appoint him.
It says in the police board manual that the council appoints the chair and the vice chair.
That's my understanding as well.
But on consultation.
Yes, absolutely,
So
on
are you ready-
consultation.
Are you ready to do that now?
I'm ready. No, I'm ready.
Yeah, if we go forward now, if there's a problem with Andrew, then we'll just appoint someone else.
Steve,
Are we sure that he wants to do it?
he wants to stay on.
So he has communicated that he wants to stay?
Yes, sorry, I should have confirmed, I should have said that, yes. I spoke to every member of the committee except for Mr. Klug, who we have no jurisdiction over, if you will, and they all want to stay.
Okay, so that,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
all right. To me, it sounded as though it was just sort of like, hey, let's name this guy. It's like,
No.
okay.
Mike, Liz, and Andrew have been on the police board for a while. Okay. Any further comments? All right. So all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. I forgot to mention that. I didn't just pluck them out of the avenues and the Albert Beach utility fence. Be it resolved to accept fencing quote for the Albert Beach pump house from Wallace & Wallace Fences for $6,717.47, excluding GST, PST. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Graham, second, thank you. I know we had to sort of redesign this quote. Is that what this is for? Okay.
Yes, in consultation with our Public Works lead hand, Trevor, we redesigned it. We've actually simplified it. There's a few more lineal feet, so the price it's just a few bucks higher than the original one that we were fooling around with, but it's a good quote. The price per lineal foot is consistent with what they quoted last year. So I think it's the right thing to do to go ahead with it.
Erwin?
Just for everyone's benefit, you may recall 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, we purchased a Generac unit, a backup power supply for that pump house so that we would eliminate or substantially eliminate the chance of a boil water odor. There's also a large propane tank, and currently they're not protected by any kind of chain link fence. It would be a sad day if someone came in with a pickup truck and a couple of bolt cutters and hauled away the Generac unit. They couldn't use it, but they could sell some of the material in it. So I think it just makes good sense to protect the very valuable asset. I think it costs us around $7,000 or $8,000 for the actual Generac unit. So, and it protects the water supply.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're just waiting for the advance notice from Wallace & Wallace as to where they're going to fit this in their schedule. And then we'll coordinate that, of course, with Trevor, because there's a little bit of brush clearing that's needed before they go in to do the work. Nothing onerous, but somebody's got to go in there with a machete or whatever and hack some stuff out of the way. So we'll have to be, we'll have to watch for that and respond to it.
Okay, any further comments? All those in favor?
Right.
Carried. Thank you. Brush pile pickup. Whereas an accumulation of deadfall within the rural municipality of Victoria Beach exceeds the capacity of local contractors to honor original bid awarded by RMVB and exceeds the capacity of Public Works Department, therefore be it resolved to terminate current 2022 fall brush pickup contract, and further be it resolved to approve one-time brush pickup service to Alpha Forestry for $57,000, excluding PST and GST. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Graham, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Yeah, that's a big number. Do you want to speak to this, Graham? You look ready.
Yeah, you're very astute. Nothing new about that. Yeah, it's a big number. This is a very painful process, but we had no choice. The upshot of this is that we're completely reviewing the whole process of brush pickup, how, when, and how it gets tendered. It's become almost unsupportable. This will see us through till the end of this year, and then we've agreed that we're going to discuss and rethink the whole program.
Well, what are we going to do about the fall pickup?
I don't know at this point. I would be more inclined only because of, choose my words carefully, where we were because we had to go forward with this, to not go forward with the fall pickup, and then have just a large pickup in the spring. The thing is that, so Mayor McMorris, Brad, our fire chief, as well as Trevor from Public Works, our lead head, we all met a few days ago to discuss a proposal that I'm going to be bringing before council. I just wanted to ensure that everybody was sort of on board with this plan. And I'm going to put it before council. I'm hoping that we can adopt it, if not tweak it, but just as was discussed before, brush pile is essentially no longer tenable. There's a lot of different factors, inflation, how much there is. The community has done a phenomenal job in putting out the fire hazard that is created by the underbrush. The thing is now it's almost become too successful, where there's just so much. And it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing that everybody's taking their underbrush and putting it out. That's awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. It's just everybody's got the message now, everybody's doing it. And then of course we had a lot of rain, which was harder on the chipper. So how we move forward, I don't think that it's a question of abandoning the chipping program entirely, because we need to remove that fire hazard. But the whole system needs to be rethought. And so I would be more in favor of abandoning it for the fall, picking up in the spring when we have a solid plan. It might be a little bit more work in the spring, but I think it's more it's more achievable to do it that way.
All right. Well, this discussion is wandering off, as it should, beyond the scope of the resolution that's before us. It's my understanding that we still have somebody on the hook for the fall. I thought that Kelly's Tree was going to take over from Danwich at the quoted price. Am I mistaken there?
That was the original plan, but we've been told that
We've been told that they want out of the contract.
All right, so we don't have anybody working
Correct.
on the fall. So
right,
we'd
so-
have to put out a tender.
We either re-tender for the fall,
Yep.
or we advise residents or decide that we are not going to pick up in the fall. Given the amount of brush that we picked up in the spring, I think there's going to be almost just as much in the fall. That's my fear. And if people do put it out, and we promise them in our newsletters that we will be doing spring and fall,
Yep.
if they then put it out, we can't leave it there over the winter. It's a fire risk even in winter, and it gets in the way of the snowplow equipment. So I think we need to determine if we're going to, sorry, I'm just looking outside.
Yeah, it's scary.
I think we need to determine if we're going to go ahead with fall pickup. If we're going to do that, we have to re-tender. I don't know that it would be fair to the constituents to say no fall pickup this year.
I agree.
But we've spent an awful lot of money on springs and summer so far.
It may very well be, rather than at this meeting, us get our heads together and decide, we're going to have to make sure that the tender call for the fall is very carefully worded, so we're properly protected. I just can't see us abandoning on short notice the fall pickup.
To see, Erwin?
From walking around the municipality, it seems that the brush pickup that's underway now is quite thorough. I think it might be appropriate if we went back and talked to our public works people probably around the end of August to see what the status is. What's the likelihood of there being more brush? I know you can't pile it, you can only pile it on the edge of your property now, but it seemed, I know in my own case, in our little lane, the brush pickup was extremely thorough. So, there might be a little bit more piled up. As, having gone through the finance chair, we spent a bundle of money this year on brush pickup. Let's wait and see before, and then consult with public works people as to whether or not it'll be necessary.
The one thing that I'll bring up, and I'm on both sides of this fence. Like, I think we should, and I also think we shouldn't. The reason why I lean more towards shouldn't is we've blown through the budget every year for the last 3 years, and this year we're really going over because of everything that we've discussed, as well as some other things. And it's just, I don't know in a year where we've had so much EMO. I know that hopefully we're going to get the 80% back from DFA. I'm just concerned about the budget this year, and I'm also questioning, especially with the contractor now wanting to get out of the contract, their ability to even finish it. So my fear is that we say we're going to do fall, everybody puts all that brush up, like we have 83 km/h winds tonight. There's going to be a lot of brush, and that's only the first storm. And so far, every year, we've been seeing tons of really high, powerful storms in the fall. And I fear that we're going to overload ourselves. We're going to be in the same position. We're going to spend another $57,000 or however much to rid it all again because of the fire hazard, because it interferes so much with the snow. The snow plows, we had that discussion the other day. I agree with Graham that this isn't necessarily the time to discuss this publicly, that we should be discussing this ourselves. I'm just thinking because we opened it up, that's sort of, those are the issues at hand right now. And especially for the community, I think that whatever decision that we have, those are the things that we need to all be thinking about moving forward.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
at this stage, there's no guarantee we will even get any response to a call for tender. So we're going to have to work our way through this in the best interests of our residents as best we can, and knowing that we're already over budget for this year.
For brush pickup.
Yeah, for brush pickup.
Can we get back to the resolution?
Yes, we will be getting back to the resolution, but I appreciate the discussion. We need to have it, and the public needs to hear it. So, back to the resolution. Any further discussion? Does anyone need me to reread the resolution? Erwin?
I just wanted to make one small comment. I had a chance to talk with the operator of the big truck today, and he was asking me if I had noticed if there were any other brush piles in the VRA which needed attention. It's a very complicated area. I wonder if it might be appropriate for one of our public works people to do just a general drive around and identify whether or not there are some piles that need attention. I pointed out one that's near the old craft house on Birch. But it would be perhaps an idea just to identify if there are some remaining piles and then give that list to the contractor.
Okay, I know there's some on the Tia Road as well.
All right, well, that would go back to Lon to work out the details with Public Works, and he's making notes furiously, so I think he's got it.
He's got it, all right. I'll reread the resolution. Whereas an accumulation of deadfall within the arm of Victoria Beach exceeds the capacity of local contractor to honor the original bid awarded by the RMVB and exceeds the capacity of Public Works Department, therefore be it resolved to terminate the current 2022 fall brush pickup contract, and further be it resolved to approve a one-time brush pickup service to Alpha Forestry for $57,000, including GST and PST. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, and thanks for the discussion. All right, moving on to bylaw 1635. Be it resolved that bylaw 1635, a bylaw to amend bylaw 1616 Schedule A to provide for an administrative penalty scheme for general bylaw enforcement, be given first reading. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second? Erwin, thank you. Discussion? You should give our residents a little bit of information. What we're doing is updating our penalty scheme for our general bylaw enforcement. What we're adding is bylaw number 1634, single-use plastic items. The administrative penalty is a maximum $500 fine, and this bylaw on the plastics comes into effect October 30th. So anytime we update a bylaw or put in a new bylaw that has a penalty, we have to add it to our administrative penalty scheme. All right, any further discussion?
As Graham would say, it's housekeeping.
It's housekeeping. All right, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. CAO, completion of probationary period. Be it resolved, CAO Lon Turner has satisfactorily completed the probationary period ending July 4th, 2022, and shall obtain regular status and receive an initial merit increase as attached in Schedule A. May I have a mover? Well, everybody. All right, well, Erwin and Graham, will you second? Thank you. Any discussion, gentlemen? Steve?
I'd just like to say that Lon came in a firestorm. The amount of work that when he started was really quite exceptional. There was no downtime at all. And I just want to say you have done an exceptional job. We've all been blown away with how clear your communications are, with how well you've met all our hopes for you in this position, and you really just blown us all away. So we are very lucky to have you. And yeah, so.
All right.
Thank you.
I would echo that. I think council is unanimous in our approval of Lon and our appreciation to how well he is fitted in. He's still got lots and lots of reading to do, but he's catching up fast. He's a good one. Thank you, Lon.
Yes, thank you. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, thank you, Lon. All right, that is done. All right, we are moving on to three items that were added to the agenda, and I need a copy of.
Which one do you want to start with?
AED. Thank you. Be it resolved to purchase, my understanding is 2 additional AEDs for the Victoria Beach Police Department. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. We did receive a quote from a resident who has access to this kind of equipment and has also offered some training. We realized due to a delegation we had at the last council meeting that the police AED, the one they had, was no longer usable, fixable, or repairable. So we believe it's a good idea to ensure that both of our police trucks have an AED, which is an automated external defibrillator. So that is what this resolution is for.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
This also speaks to a related issue that was raised at the recent Victoria Beach Cottage Owners Association. I don't think we could exactly say that it initiated with them, but it helped to underline the needs. So we know that much of our community is very much in support of this.
It's really important that we have AEDs for the police anyway. But really what this comes down to at the end of the day is the loss of our first responders. I just want to reiterate again that we've lost our first responders. It was at no fault of the council. The requirements were arbitrarily raised, and so unfortunately pretty much all rural municipalities are now left to fend for ourselves. And so I think that delegation was fantastic because it brought a lot of ideas to us. And I think we can get possibly some really good training programs for the community for next year, as was recommended. And there's some other recommendations that I think that we can move forward on. This is largely exactly as Penny put out, because of that delegation. But ultimately, I think that once again, I'm just going to say it: if you have an issue with the fact that we don't have first responders and that we are more vulnerable than we've ever been, please contact your MLA.
I certainly support the idea of providing this technological equipment for our police department. My only concern is we may not be following proper protocols in that the request, I think, should have come from the police board.
did.
It did, we got a request,
did.
we did get a request or an email from the police board chair today saying they support the purchase of 2 AEDs. I'm not sure if all of council got it, but I certainly did, and I think...
I saw that, I just don't know whether or not the actual police board made a decision.
It was initiated by Kevin.
It was initiated by Kevin, it went through the police board chair, so I'm assuming the rest of the police board. I don't think they're going to object.
No.
I'm certainly not objecting.
I'm not objecting, again, I'm a bit of a protocol stickler, so, we want to make sure we're not overriding or not following proper protocols.
I think we're okay there.
I think we're okay there. As usual, we could expect our friend Irwin to leave no nit unpicked. And, but I think we're satisfied that the police board recommends this strongly. Thank you.
Yes, they do. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, how about the golf course? Thank you. Be it resolved to approve an increase of $10 per locker rental at the Victoria Beach Golf Course for the 2023 season. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second. Steve, thank you. I spoke with Carl at the golf course today. I texted him, and it was his suggestion that we increase each set of lockers by $10 for 2023. They have not increased in a number of years. He told me that there are $40 for a locked locker, $30 for unlocked, and $25 for an upper unlocked. So that would mean they would go to $50, $40, and $35 for 2023. And a lot of people do pay in advance. So Carl wanted to get this on the books.
Yes, people are paying in advance, so he needed to know what the 2023 rates are going to be. People are signing up for them now. So this looks about right to me.
Further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Up next, the Albert Beach Drainage Survey. Thank you. Be it resolved to pay half of the quoted price submission of $5,771.85, including GST, from Northern Plains Drainage Systems Limited for ditch surveying in Albert Beach on the condition that the rural municipality of Alexander pay the other half. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second. Steve, thank you. And this comes about as a result of some drainage issues that we have under Safi Road. In 2001, Council of the Day approved a second culvert to go under Safi to drain north into our municipality, and it is causing some grief on private property. So they have agreed to split the cost with us on this survey, and I think it's a great step forward to see what the drainage issues actually are in that corner.
Yes, and it speaks well for the cooperation between RMVB and Alexander. We have it, the resolution in writing from RM of Alexander to pay their half, so it's, once again, it's the right thing to do.
Erwin?
I've looked at this quotation, it really doesn't give me any ideas to actually what is going to be done. Lon, can you give us a bit of an outline of what are they surveying when you say ditches in Albert Beach? Is that all the ditches in Albert Beach? Or?
No.
Okay, so we could just get a bit of an explanation as to the scope of the work.
Do you have the thing in front of you?
Yeah.
It says they are going to be doing the cross section. It's mostly the corner between Safi Road and between Highway 59, pardon me, and Christopher on Safi Road, and they are going to be shooting chute level municipal ditch surveying on Christopher, on Safi, and on the Poirier subdivision on Rue Poirier, and PTH 59. So they're going to survey shots of the center line, the road edge, the ditch toe, the ditch bottom, the prairie toe, the estimated right-of-way, and the survey will be presented in profile format showing side slopes or grades.
So So it's essentially Christopher Road, a bit of Safi, and then Old Mill Road.
And 59.
Right. Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I appreciate the cooperation with Yoram and Alexander on that as well.
Just a comment on this is one of the things that I've noticed is that we have to do a fair amount of surveys every single year. I'd really like us to look into possibly train a public works employee or a couple of public works employees to be able to shoot survey lines. It is years of study, but like how many of these do we need to do? Like if we had a couple of people who are trained with the equipment, then yes, it's thinking more long term, but we should be able to save a decent amount of money rather quickly once those people are trained up.
Payback could be in hundreds of years, you know, so as a engineering student, I've been through surveying. It's a big deal to become a qualified surveyor. And even if one of our employers, if he's anything less than a fully qualified registered surveyor, his drawings be nothing. They don't have the effect of law or legislation. Good idea, but I just don't think it's going to work, Steve.
Okay, Erwin?
Well, the purpose of a survey is to establish legally the boundaries. And if we did have an employee that was qualified, I doubt that they would be in a position to legally offer an opinion to their employer. So, you know, it is a profession. We pay for it on a demand basis. Sometimes we need it, usually, and it's always for a good reason. So, you know, if we were a much bigger municipality, you know, you might be able to consider, but our size, pretty limited.
I mean, one of the things is that we don't really know where our borders are for most of the RM. Especially, you see it inside the restricted area where you have properties who the road just goes straight through their properties because of the way that they were built. So it's like we really kind of need to shoot almost every single road in the RM. And then of course we have EMO, which comes up periodically, especially with dike situations, or we have one recently. That's a different qualification for a different type of survey. But it just seems to me that there's so much work that needs to get done that it would end up paying for itself. I'm not saying let's make a decision right now. I'm just saying that I would like to see, like, do a general cost analysis to see whether or not it's viable.
I tend to side with Graham and Erwin on this one. I don't think it's a professional designation that we would be fortunate enough to have one of our guys get. If they did, they'd be snapped up by a survey company. I think we just do it as a needs basis, and it does cost money, you're right, but it's something that has to be done, has to be done properly, and over the years, we'll chip away, I think. All right, but thank you for that. Any further discussion? I think I'm going to call a question. All those in favor? Carried. Steve?
Sorry, there was one thing, like, we didn't do correspondence? Or did?
No, we're still on the drainage survey.
Cool, then yes,
okay.
absolutely. Sorry.
Carried. Thank you. I know, there's a lot on our plates.
Usually when you say call the question, it's the end of the meeting, so.
No, can't do that yet. All right, so thank you, gentlemen. So moving on to correspondence. Thanks, Lon, for putting in dangerous beach area, the need for signage at King Edward Beach North. We received an email from a longtime resident down there who noticed that the sign that is always on King Edward Beach that warns swimmers to stay on one side of the lifeline is missing, and the lifeline is a tangled mess either on the shore or somewhere out in the lake. So there's no way we're going to get it fixed this year, given the high water. So we just I put something on Facebook. We just have to remind people. I think we put it in the Herald. Put something in the Herald. Anyway, I thought it was last week, but to remind residents to be safe down there. There have been some near drownings down there. There possibly has been a drowning. There's a severe undertow, so just be careful down there and remind residents and visitors of that. But we definitely need to get that signage and that lifeline up next year if possible. The problem is a boat. We don't have a boat. And a previous head public works guy used his own boat to get that line in.
Yeah, that was another,
Yeah.
it's been a few bucks.
So, all right, so that was one piece of correspondence. Another piece of correspondence came from the Wanasing Beach cottage owners, and that was a letter of request for Ed Randall Park maintenance and improvements. And they sent some pictures of some pretty sad-looking playground equipment that needs to be looked at and probably removed. And then they asked about some maintenance issues that they would like to see and some improvements. Graham, is this anything you want to address? I know, for instance, it's very wet, and for Public Works to go in there with heavy equipment is going to probably make
Yes.
it worse this year.
Yeah, it's been frustrating for all of us, waiting for it to dry up. We're still trying to, we're still waiting till it's practical to get in there to clean up the mess that was made removing the tree early this spring. That's on the Public Works list of things to do as soon as they can get in there. And they'll probably spread some gravel around in the southernmost portion of the park, which is subject to being wet almost every year. Let's put some gravel on it. The rest of it, soil and seed, but we're still waiting for it to dry out properly. I'll check it again myself in the next few days to see if Lon needs to renew or underline his request to Public Works, but there's no use harassing them when they can't get in there. The Wanasing Beach Cottage Owners Association goes on to ask for some money. It's rather well disguised as far as exactly how much they're asking for. They have a bunch of their own to put in. Perhaps we could discuss this on a separate occasion and come up with our own resolution for X dollars to the Wanasing Beach Cottage Owners Association. And I don't think that's going to be a resolution that you write on the fly here right now, but let's make a mental note to bring a resolution up that would give them some of what they're asking for. They're a legitimate group. They've tried hard to work with council over the years, and we do recognize the importance of these association groups. So let's carry that forward and come up with a resolution for X dollars.
Or is this a 2023 issue? I know they'd like something now because they've got an event coming up on the September long weekend, but I'm not sure what's in the budget
Yeah,
this year.
I think we've got room in the budget to give them a few bucks this year, and we'll just have to work that out amongst ourselves in the best interests of our taxpayers.
Thank you. I think Erwin wants to speak.
Typically, when we get this kind of situation, we'll ask that the delegation make a presentation and outline what their ask is. They haven't quantified the ask, and I think it might be appropriate to suggest that they go back and try and put some numbers. They're in a better position to determine what needs to be fixed, what needs to be added, than our Public Works people are. And then we can decide, see if it can be find room in this current budget or put it into next year's budget.
Okay, Graham?
I kind of like that idea. Let's consider inviting them to present as a delegation. I think it will be relatively succinct and coherent, and from that we can design a resolution for this year or next year based on what we've got to work with.
All right, maybe if we could get them to come to the next council meeting because...
I'll contact them to suggest what we've discussed here and what we've agreed here this evening. I'll look after that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other correspondence? Steve?
Yeah, I just have two. So the first was about pier jumping. So first of all, we don't condone pier jumping because we can't. But Well, I'm just saying, it's something I have to say. But as Mayor McMorris responded to this email saying that it is under the jurisdiction of the federal small craft harbors. The thing is that for all the, I had sent an email out that one thing that we could consider is to request that we can put a buoy out that is close to the rock so that the boats don't go jumping on the wrong side of the, so that the boats don't go anywhere on the wrong side of the buoy to do their activities.
That would have to be a very elaborate buoy to withstand the weight pressure of the wind site. That could be a big deal. That defends me.
Again, just to confirm what Mayor McMorris has said, this is totally outside of our jurisdiction and authority. I think we should forward the email that came in to the harbor master and ask him to look into it.
And I did do that, and he is looking into it. He has responded to the individual.
And I think our harbor master has also spoken to the police chief as well. So we'll do what we can.
I also had a second piece of correspondence, which was from a couple of residents who have been noticing more and more that we are having business vehicles with business permits going to private residents, not doing work, who are bringing people to the beaches and starting to do things because they have a business permit. I have followed up with the police to confirm these stories. The thing that people need to remember, and I don't know why I need to say this, but the thing that people need to remember is that if you don't phone the police right away, then they're not going to be able to respond, and they're not going to be able to ticket these people, and to the businesses, we won't be able to revoke their permits. If we find a business owner who is not using their business accordingly, this is exactly what they're allowed to do. They're allowed to go to the place of which they have business, and they're allowed to leave the VRA. Those are the only two things that they can do. They can't do anything else. If you see people with any kind of permit doing anything outside of their scope, phone the police immediately. We will revoke their permits. And if they have a job in the VRA, sorry, you have to wait until the end of the season. But it really doesn't help when you're doing things after the fact. So please phone the police, tell them what's going on, and then they will respond immediately. They will investigate, and if they are in fact breaking the conditions of their permit, we will revoke them.
Thank you, Steve. Earl?
Steve, I'm kind of curious, what sort of extracurricular activities are these people involved in?
So far, fishing, visiting friends, dropping people off to wherever it is that they want. Those are the big three that I've heard. And yeah, it's frustrating, and this is why it's frustrating. I went over to a friend's today, and we saw a little child, probably about 6 years old, driving a bike. This is the one place that anybody can be and see that, possibly younger, completely alone. As long as that kid's smiling and they're happy, we know for a fact that they're safe. We're not worried about where the parents are. The problem comes up when when you have cars inside of the VRA, and all it takes is one accident. And I'm just saying this to all the businesses with permits, we will respond very forcefully, very quickly. We need to do what we can to limit the amount of vehicles in the VRA, but we have this one thing where during the summer, we allow for businesses to operate within the VRA, but then we allow children to bike wherever they want. So again, I'm just saying to the businesses as strongly as I can, do not violate the conditions of your permits, and I'm asking for the residents that if you see somebody with a permit violating the conditions of the permit, phone the police and they will investigate quickly. Don't do it after the fact, do it right away.
Okay. This is closely related to this issue, and I'm going to take this opportunity to ask or remind Lon that there's been a number of requests from legitimate business permit holder drivers asking for a couple of signs to help regulate a few unsafe situations within the beach. You know that it's, we're the extension of, was it Gibson, where it runs into Sunset or First Avenue, and also a warning sign where the kids come screaming through on their bikes.
That's not up yet?
I don't know. I'm just asking if it hasn't been done yet, if you could follow through on that. There's been a number of near misses, and there has been, in fact, already one incident where where a young person on a bike crashed into a service truck, and the injuries were minor, but that's not the point. I just wanted to follow through on that request to get some damn signage up there, please. There's a stop sign laid on its back in front of the Public Works office, even as I speak. If it needs to be installed, please.
Okay, thank you. Any other correspondence, Erwin?
I received a phone call from our Public Works office asking that I communicate with someone who was asking questions about why there were barricades installed at the corner of Safi Road and Pitt Road. So I took the opportunity. They went up last Friday, and I'm pleased to report that there have been no incidents. We have seen no traffic whatsoever coming past the barricade, other than the occasional Public Works vehicle will drive up, move the barricade, and then drive through and put it back. But all of the people who live on our little lane are just going down to the pump house. Even the people from the road guide camp are finding their way in, and there's been no problem. So it was a very dangerous situation, and I just want to thank everyone in our community, both from Victoria Beach and other municipalities and places, showing respect for the barricades. That does not mean we are not barricading people from going to the beach. We've left the barricades in place so that there's lots of room between the barricades. You can get through with a wagon or a bicycle, but it has eliminated during the summer months what had become a very serious traffic situation given the parking lot at Pitt Road. So again, thank you for everyone who is cooperating and showing respect for the barricades. It's all about safety. Thank you.
All right, and I've received a couple of emails about, and phone calls about people climbing on the sandbanks. And I realize that Mother Nature has taken away most of our beaches this year. And those sandbanks look quite inviting, and they're kind of fun to play in, but we really do encourage residents to not run, play, jump, or dig in the sandbanks. Some of them have been undermined and undercut by the erosion of the wind and the waves, and it wouldn't take much in some cases for a boulder or a tree to come tumbling down. So please, for the sake of your safety and the safety of the banks and the fragility of the banks, we ask that you not play on the banks.
Is that mainly the sandbars?
No, it's everywhere. Most of the beaches in the restricted area, for instance, vehicle restricted area, have high sandbanks behind them, and they look very fun, but they could also be dangerous, and it just encourages erosion. So, all right. Weather alerts. While we were sitting here tonight, Frank very kindly gave me a note that said I was just advised of a tornado warning for Victoria Beach and Southeastern Manitoba.
The Southeastern Manitoba.
Southeastern. Vic Beach.
Really?
We're in it.
Before I came.
And that was, well, Frank gave it to me just during the meeting, so thank you for that. I also put two.
I thought they were commenting on the council meeting.
I also put notices on our Facebook page today. I put two about wind and weather alerts. So please stay tuned to our Facebook page for wind and weather alerts. There's a severe thunderstorm watch today. There's high wind alert for tomorrow up until Friday, I read, and high water. So Mother Nature's angry. So just be safe out there, please. And the only other thing I want to report is, in light of the delegation we had last council meeting, there are AEDs here. There are AEDs in the fire department, the Victoria Beach Community Club on the water, the Victoria Beach Tennis Courts, Beaches Community Center, and Southeast Store. And as you heard tonight, we're ordering 2 for our police. So we do have them in the community. Unfortunately, if they're in buildings, they are owned and maintained by the property owner. The VB Club owns and maintains their 2. So unless these community clubs or buildings are open, you don't have access, which is why it's important for the police to have a couple on fire.
I had a conversation about AEDs with a colleague in a different municipality. And, the suggestion was made that I believe the post office, the exterior part of the post office is open 24 hours a day. And what that particular municipality did was locate an AED in the exterior portion of the post office. Because one, in our case, it would be central, and 2, accessibility. We have one at Southeast Store. I got one in my cabin, but there's just not general access. So, getting into the fire department, that doesn't work. I think it's a great idea that we get the 2 additional units for the police department, but we should give some thought to perhaps locating an AED in the post office.
That may require Canada Post approval as well.
Yeah, they're fussy about what you screw in their walls. I think council should consider putting on our website, here's the location of AEDs. Now, some of these places are only open certain hours, we can qualify it that way. But a recent Cottage Owners Association meeting outlined the fact that most people just don't know. They would like to, they would benefit from information on our site where you could reasonably expect to find an AED in an emergency if the place is open, plus the 2 for the police. The ones for the police might be the most important ones because the 911 almost always involves the police. So we hopefully will be better covered there.
Right, and the other location I forgot to mention is the Summer Doctors Clinic has an AED.
It's going to be in the next Herald, but yeah, I would like to see the map as well. Also, it comes down to updating our website because our website can have an interactive map that we could have it where we could figure out where all the AEDs are, but that's sort of a discussion for another time.
Okay.
All right, any further correspondence, gentlemen?
I just have one quick thing based on the tornado warning, which is that the way that Connect works right now is that we have to have somebody in the office to post on Connect. I think what we need is, and I'm not sure if Brad has direct access to Connect, he should, but I think that the mayor of the day needs to have access to Connect for these specific situations where you're not in office, the employees aren't in office. So if the mayor of the day is available, then they can send something out outside of regular hours.
My experience with Connect, you can also set it up to anything that's issued by Connect or alert-wise. You can set it so it automatically goes through. I can look into that for you if you want to look into it.
Yeah, that'd be good, thanks.
I'm surprised that we didn't get something on VB Connect tonight on that.
Yeah, I noticed the last one, it came up on Connect when I logged into it, but I still had to push buttons to make it go through to everybody. So you can automatically have it just go through when it runs through.
I just checked, it didn't come through on my phone during the meeting.
All right, if you could look into that, that'd be great. 2 other things that Lon left on my little desk here. The Lake Winnipeg Research Consortium thanked us for our grant of $2,500, which is an annual grant. And the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure sent us a letter informing us of the Manitoba Highway Network initiative. It's a multi-year highway investment strategy that can be viewed online. And if you're interested, I can send you the link. All right, anything else, gentlemen? I think that's a wrap. Be it resolved that the August 2nd, 2022 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting to be held on August 16th, 2022 at 7 p.m. here at the East Beaches Social Scene, number 3 Atia Road. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second. Graham, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Okay, let's, this